Hello everybody and welcome back. I have a couple of instalments for you today from Mike's Werewolf Journal. My hands haven't been great and I'm quite far behind with everything, and I am trying to catch up, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, I promise. My dragon voice isn't working. It's been one of those weeks where I've had a gremlin. So my new mic's broke, my dragon voice isn't working, and I can't type with my hands a lot, so you're going to have to bear with me, I'm afraid. But it's all in the pipeline and I'm going to get it to you as quickly as I can. But Mike's been very patient with me and he has sent me parts 8, 9 and 10 and a little conclusion and some thoughts of his own. So I'm going to bring those to you today. And then hopefully later on I'll be able to get on with some further reports. Mike's Werewolf Journey, parts 8, 9 and 10. Werewolf Log, part 8. Date 29th of the 7th, 17. Search area, zone 1. The weather is overcast with bouts of sunshine. I searched zone 1 and I didn't find much, but the atmosphere was different today. It was something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I felt uneasy and I decided to leave. Search time 8:49 to 9:49 hours. Date the 30th of the 8th, 17. Search zone Nunny Green and Sull Hampstead, which is a new area of interest. The weather was overcast, light rain, showers, but the visibility was good. Firstly, I searched zone 1 in Nunny Green, where I found some large prints again, but the woods were deadly quiet. I certainly had the feeling it was time to go. Search time was 9:30 to 10:40 hours. I decided to look at Sull Hampstead, which is a new area on the west side of Reading. It's a small rural village with a canal, with open fields and woods running alongside the canal. There was a tree sign, but not much else to see. Search time 10:55 to 12 midday. Werewolf Log Part 9. The date is the 20th of the 9th, 17. Search area. A new area around Macclesfield, a remote farm. The weather was cloudy and overcast with light rain showers and the visibility was good. This search was based on an article sent to me by a friend, which was published in the Macclesfield Express, in which 3 sheep were slaughtered and 7 other sheep who were run until the point of having cardiac arrest. The incident happened during the first week of September 2017, and the police stated it was a result of a large canine. In fact, one sheep was dragged by its hindquarters across the field and then its legs were ripped out of their sockets. This sheep was held by the canine in its jaws, which would suggest a very large canine indeed. I visited the site about 3 weeks later at the end of September, and the whole area looked normal and peaceful, but we did see a police warning sign on the road, and I wasn't too sure why the sign was out. There were no roadworks or anything else of danger to be seen, so I can only assume it's for another reason. Despite some wonderful scenic countryside, there was not much to see, to be honest, and search time was 14:46 to 15:55 hours. Werewolf Log, 24th of the 9th, 17. Search area, Nunny Green, zones 1 and 2 and Cheesy Heath. The weather was a clear sky, visibility is good and the first signs of autumn, etc. Searched Nunny Green, zone 1, not much to report. I took several photos in which 2 werewolves showed up in the trees. At the time, I couldn't see them. They showed up after I downloaded the photos on my PC. I saw a man walking his dog and some cyclists. And I next searched zones 2, in which I think I found a wildman print, but I couldn't be sure. Search time 20:30 to 14:27. As a rule, I don't normally go looking for wild men or woodwolves, but I thought I'd give it a go, due to the fact that about 10 months I saw one walking in between the trees at a distance. But at the time, it was not my main area of research or focus. But today I searched Cheesy Heath, and to my surprise, I found what I would assume to be wildman activity and some prints. But what blew my mind was what I can only describe as a flint hand-size axe. I took pictures, and it fitted in my hands perfectly. I have heard from some researchers stateside in interviews that they do have some tool making skills, so hence my surprise at finding this item. So I took this axe blade and I started to scrape some bark off a nearby tree, and sure enough, the bark came off the trunk of the tree. I left it where I found it, just in case. Search time is 14:32 to 47 hours. Note: My assumed visit to Diggle along the A628 Saddleworth Moor and surrounding area was a bust. Some thoughts on the werewolf diet. After listening to countless dogmen and werewolf shows online, I've decided to venture some thoughts on a werewolf diet. Now let me first put a disclaimer out. I am in no way a wolf expert, or do I hold a degree of any sort in animal behaviour or zoology. So the following is based on my own assumptions and no one else's. It would seem that the werewolf shares many traits as a normal timber wolf. For example, a feast and a famine diet. A normal wolf can last at least, say, 12 to 28 days without food. Normal wolves can eat deer, sheep, dogs, cats and other domestic animals. Now, a werewolf, I think, likes eating dogs. It seems they eat dogs as though it's a free takeaway. And regarding cats, they have a special loathing for these felines. Also on the menu for werewolves are cows, deer, sheep, and if you take some US reports seriously, people. Normal wolves will kill extra animals during the hunt, despite the one that had been killed for eating. These extra kills are not done out of some sort of sadistic pleasure, but as a secondary meal that can be collected later without having to hunt a second time. Now, a normal wolf hunting range can be from 15 to 20 miles, and I would suggest that werewolf hunting range could be up to 50 miles, considering their size and speed. It is alleged that at least one werewolf was clocked at 70 miles an hour while chasing a car in the US. A normal wolf can consume 22 pounds of meat in one sitting. Now, by rule of thumb, 1 pound of meat contains 3,500 calories. So a creature who stands on average at 7 to 8 feet tall on legs would have no problem surviving in this country, especially if there was a small breeding population and that a werewolf pack breeds based on the food supply available. But bear in mind, these creatures can grow up to a huge size. In the UK, there have been a 10-foot tall creature sighted at Cannock Chase, and at least two 10-foot plus creatures in southern England, and a 15-foot female in the USA. This specimen was spotted unconscious on the side of the road in Texas. No, I will stick my neck out there and make a statement on the breeding population for the UK. Based on sightings and the numbers involved, I would estimate no more than 250 and no less than 200 such creatures. By the way, this is my own conclusion and not based on any documentation that I've seen or have been privy to. Thanks everybody, and if you need to get in touch, please contact Deborah. Regards, Mike. Well, I'd like to thank Mike for all the work that he's done over the summer in recording this, and it brings me to a subject that I'd like to chat across the board, and I will put another video out, but I think the way Mike has documented his accounts is something that we need to do moving forward. Simply journaling and diarying can seem to some a waste of time, but to be able to look back in a number of years at where your research was then is a really useful tool, as I know. You can forget things, and someone will mention something and you will suddenly remember that you remember reading that or speaking to somebody about that, and it drives you mad trying to find out where it is. So I tend to write everything down as I go, and some days it could be 3 or 4 days later and I will suddenly remember it and then I write it down, and it sounds a bit obsessive, to be honest, but actually it does actually come into play, because when we first started looking at signs and structures, nobody else was looking. and we were making these notes. I wrote everything down that I could think of, and that resulted in the database. So what seems to some as not really worth doing can be quite important. So even if you're just on a personal journey, you're on a spiritual journey, whether you're researching in the main, keeping a journal of events could be very useful to you. And if you want to share them here, I would happily share them here for you, and I would add them to the blog, because as more people become interested in the UK, the more people that share, the easier it is going to become. But I think for the mainstream guys, and I would back this 100%, what we need is a scientific database, which would include DNA samples, hair samples. I've had some fantastic examples from Alison, and when she's back from America, we will all sit down and have a chat, and she can explain some of her research techniques to you, such as hair traps, and the leaving of a simple apple can result in not only a bite print, but would also bring you some DNA. But it depends on where you're coming from in this subject. For people like me, it's more of a relationship, it's more of a spiritual journey. But for the others, it's the mainstream research, and I back all of that, as you know, open hand. There are lots of fences in Deborah Hatswell's word, because I will not come down on one side of the fence or the other until I know how I feel on a subject. And there's lots of people pushing their opinions at the moment, and remember guys, they're just opinions. What really matters is you, and what you think, and what you feel. And listen to all the advice by all means, but trust your gut. And if it seems wonky, it's wonky, and it's probably better to walk away. But we'll get to that in another video. So for now, I would like to thank Mank and everybody else who's been along this journey with me. And especially Glenn and Dave. If I didn't have you to chat to at night, I don't know what I'd do. And Daniela and Laura and Julie. I've met some amazing friends along the way. And if you're on the very start of your journey, then you will too. And I would like to welcome you to the fold. And you will find us on YouTube or Facebook, or just reach out to debbiehatswell@gmail.com. So until my next video, enjoy the rainy weather, and goodbye.